Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with Mary Grace. Good to see you. Looks like we have trolls coming in already. So I'm going to be managing trolls, and talking to you at the same time. Good to see you. This is Real Talk with Mary Grace, and you're watching me live on Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, and at some point we'll be on Cloud Hub. So it's great to see everybody. Please share this. Please retweet. Please copy the link and share it into any groups that you belong to on Facebook or any other chat groups or emails or anything like that, anywhere that you can get the word out. A lot of new people are coming to see the show. And so I appreciate everyone who is sharing this and getting the message out. So thank you to everybody who's here. Welcome to the people on YouTube. Welcome to the people on Facebook. And good to see everybody. So every day in the every day on the Trump train is a very interesting day, and it's great to be here because we're learning so much, and we are getting a little bit of a handle on what's happening with the election. We have a lot of people who are switching their affiliation, switching their associations, and that's a good thing. I don't think many people are leaving conservative movement to go the other direction, but I think that we are seeing some people who once considered themselves Democrats and liberals a little bit shocked by what's happening in their party. And so you're welcome. One thing that I ask in my chat is that you don't monopolize the chat, that you don't take everybody on rabbit trails to discuss your own topic of choice. If you want to do that, I do request that you go offline and set up private messaging or whatever it is that works for you. And sometimes I will give you some disclaimers. Sometimes people will get muted or even blocked, depending on the chat and depending on how fast it's going. Sometimes that just happens as a matter of course. So just wanted you to know that. And I also just want to let you know that I don't always answer questions in the course of the conversation. So if you ask a question and I ignore it, uh, sometimes it's just because I can't get to it at the moment. Looks like I'm having internet issues right now. Are you still with me? Is everybody here? Uh, Give me a thumbs up if you're still here. I think I'm still live. Very interesting. All right. Okay, good. Great. Great. So it's a little bit interesting because I'm not seeing any of my regular people on Periscope. And so if you are on Periscope, you will have to hit the hearts and leave a comment because I can't tell that you're there. And it's just a little interesting turn of events. So I think that we're going to see this kind of thing happening. We're going to see shutdowns in internet and things like that. And so we'll do the best we can. If for some reason the broadcast goes down, if I lose internet or anything like that, I if I lose power, I will try to come back on. I usually try to ride it out if the internet goes down or if Periscope throttles me for any reason. Uh, One thing, okay, there we go. So I think that's enough with the housekeeping right now. All right, hold on a second. And then there's the kitten. Yesterday slept through the show. Today he wants to play. All right. So here we are. um, Hold on a second, everybody. Hold on. Okay. So we're gonna have a little bit of barley time. Okay. Uh, Now let me go over a few details. Yeah, broadcasters are having a lot of problems. Okay, just relax. You never know when you have a juvenile kitten in the house, right? Um, so Lisa Perna had trouble staying on today. Yeah, Greg Harvey yesterday had to start 3 times his broadcast. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about something that I found online, and this is a website that I think could be useful to a lot of people. It's called everylegalvote.com, and it's pretty interesting that it's a place where you can go to see the electoral map, everylegalvote.com. I'll show it to you in just a minute when the cat stops biting me. And it's called everylegalvote.com, and it's a interactive map. And you can touch the screen, and you can see what the election would look like with fraud, without fraud, and what it currently looks like. It's very interesting. You can click on your state, because as I reported yesterday, we're finding, hold on a second, we're finding that, um, okay, hold on. I'm being attacked by my own cat. Hold on a second. Stop. Stop. Here he is. He's going down. Okay. I should have gotten the spray bottle. So, it's interactive. I'm going to show you this because it's pretty cool. Stop. I might have to take him upstairs. Okay. No. Okay, give me just a second. Everylegalvote.com. And it looks like it's been hacked because it's redirecting to a nefarious website. So we'll come back to that. I had it pulled up on my iPhone and it's not doing what I want. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Yeah, so it's basically saying that if we were to count the legal votes, it would actually put President Trump over 300 electoral votes. Okay, I'm going to say one thing about the volume before I go on, because I'm getting a lot of comments about the volume. So when it comes to volume, I'm using my computer. I'm doing the best I can to talk as loud as I can. Every single person listening is listening on a different device. And so it could be your device. It could be that you're on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. All of those systems are going through different servers. And so if you're having trouble with the volume, I want to suggest that you start troubleshooting on your own first, that you put in a headset or do what you need to do to try to get the volume right, because there's only so much troubleshooting I can do on my end. So just letting you know, because I get people asking me, turn up the volume, can't hear, but then other people are saying it's fine. So if you're seeing that, it's a good chance that there's an issue on your end, or as one of my IT friends used to say, picnic, problem in chair, not in computer. So just letting you know that, because I can't stop every time I'm doing a broadcast to troubleshoot volume. Okay. When I get set up in my studio and I have a better system set up, I think that it'll be more consistent. But again, the system you're on, I mean, there's hundreds of variables. So I just want to get that out of the way because it seems to come up a lot, and it's a little bit frustrating, I'll be honest. Okay. So, yeah, some of you guys just realized that we're dealing with all kinds of technology. Yeah, if it's not working on one platform, go to another platform. All right, love you guys. Thank you for being here. Let's get to the news. I think the cat's okay for now. Now, I wanted to talk about the details of the election. I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that we're seeing come out, because as I said yesterday, if you missed my show yesterday, I do recommend that you go ahead and watch it. It's available on replay on YouTube, Facebook, and on Periscope. And so I recommend that you go watch it, because I talked about what we know so far about the election and about the way that the election was tabulated and the results of the election. Okay, I'm going to put pause on and get rid of the cat because this is the day that he wants to be a little bit annoying. Just hold and don't leave. Okay. Okay, no more distractions. Here we go. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're trying again. And yeah, we've had a lot of cat time, and he just wants attention right now. But that's okay. We're back to the show. We have all kinds of things going on. Now, let me go back to the election. Go back and watch yesterday everything that I said about what happened and why the president is so sure that he's going to win. Okay, because he actually won. And one of the things that I pointed out yesterday on Twitter, people are saying the election will be overturned, and I get what they're saying because technically it looks like Biden won, and so we use that term, but really the election is not going to be overturned. The illusion is going to be overturned, and I want to be very clear about that it's the illusion of the win. And so, because I don't want to agree with any lie that says that Biden won the election. Trump was the winner on day one, and he has remained the winner since this started. Okay, so I hear people even in the professional sphere using that term, and I take issue with it because technically it's not right at all, and you cannot overturn an undecided or uncertified election. So just be aware of that, and really be aware of the wording and the language that you're using, because we're not overturning an undecided election, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. And as you're having these conversations, as you're on social media, let's take the language back, and let's just say that the election was stolen. They tried to steal it, and the president won, and that it is being proven, and that the lawyers who are going to bat for this president have indisputable proof. And that's the key. That is the anchor here. That's what we need to stick with, because if you're like me, you have friends who support this president, who love him, and who voted for him, but who truly believe that he lost. They still don't get it. They're not tracking with the fact that he won the election. And so we really need to to maintain control of the narrative here, because the media is in an all-out information war to get everybody to agree with the illusion of a president-elect Biden and a president Biden. And that's just not true. It's never going to happen. There's no office of the president-elect Biden. There's no such thing. He's not going to be inaugurated. He's not going to be sworn in, and so the states are not going to certify. Um, Sidney Powell put out a warning yesterday to the states that even thought about certifying. She said that anybody who certifies this election will basically be criminally liable. So I want to put that out there. It's the amount of evidence that is there and available is way more than anybody is letting on, especially the left. I told you yesterday that there are very clear indicators that they know uh, that they know that that the left knows that Biden didn't actually win, and that's important to understand because and you can see. So and one example I gave was that Senator Harris hasn't resigned her Senate seat. She hasn't stepped down. There's been no mention of who would be appointed to take her place. So that's a key indicator. Another indicator that I gave was that all of the bets that were placed on this election are still open, that the bookmakers have not closed the bets. Why is that? Why is that? Because the results are undecided. Okay, and so these swing states that have their votes in question really are not in any position to certify this election. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are going to be in big trouble. And so I think that we need to hang on here. When Sidney Powell says that she's going to release the Kraken, and that when she has so much evidence, she uses the word writ large. When the evidence is writ large, that means literally it's plain as day. It's in your face. And so for a litigator, for an attorney to have that kind of language, to use that language, for Lynn Wood to say, I am 100% certain that this president won the election. Okay, this is the man who got a $250 million settlement, a libel settlement for Nick Sandmann, the young man who was libeled for wearing a MAGA hat uh, in Washington, D.C. So when you see people like this, when you see them, people who have incredibly uh, uh, stellar reputations to protect, and they're saying things like this, you have to understand. You have to understand that they're not doing this lightly. And Sidney Powell even said, I don't say something unless I don't say something unless I can prove it. And so these are indicators, and I want you to understand this. I want you to take heart in knowing that this president is the winner. Okay. Um, so somebody just asked me to block them, so I did. Okay, that was easy. uh, all right, and so those are 2 points that I wanted to make. Now, here's something that I listened to today, and that is I was listening to Louis Gohmert, Congressman Louis Gohmert, on the Charlie Kirk show. And he was talking a little bit about this Seidel server that was located in Spain, and then it was moved to Germany. And there was something interesting about that, and that is that Louis Gohmert was aware of this company and this system being used in Texas in 2018 in the primaries. And if you recall, and he got the information about this to the president because he saw that they were trying to manipulate elections, and he got the information to the president, and it was in September of 2018 that the president wrote the executive order outlining the dangers of election fraud, foreign meddling in our elections, and he also declared a national emergency. And so it wasn't, there's no coincidences, right? And so when Louis Gohmert was talking about this, one thing that he said was that the server, everybody keeps talking about a server being taken from Germany, and that there was a raid and that they took this information. And one of the things that is a question is that it seems like it was taken by black hats. Black hats meaning that it wasn't sanctioned by the president, that somebody who wanted to hide that somebody who wanted to hide the info to get the information and hide it was the ones who did that. We don't know if it was CIA. We don't know if it was um, another government, et cetera, et cetera. So, what I want to point out is that he said something to the effect that, we want to find the undoctored Seidel server. And then later on, he seemed to indicate that we have the information regardless. Okay. And um, so that is important to understand, because I told you yesterday that I am confident that I'm confident that we do have that information, regardless of who took the server, who made the raid. There's rumors going around about who ordered it, that it was the president, that it wasn't the president. Louis Gohmert seems to indicate that it wasn't, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm seeing in the chat, people are saying they were taken by the military. They're in Virginia now. Um, Send me the link. Send me the resource, the source of where you're getting the information, because I'm getting a lot of different versions in the chat. So if you can send me that information, info@marygracemedia.com, that would be great. I'd like to see it. So thank you. But the point is that it was taken, even if it was taken, uh, the point is that he's indicating that we have that information, and my sources are also telling me that we do have the information and that we were watching it unfold in real time. Okay, so my sources confirm with me that that we have it regardless of who took the server. All right. And so that's the important thing I want you to understand. Okay. Now, the thing that let me talk about the president's website. I mean, the president's lawsuits for a minute. And this is what I want to say. So the fake news is going to keep faking. They're going to keep lying. They're doing everything they can to demoralize you, to get you to give up, to make you think that the president lost, that there's no way that he is going to get that he got reelected, anything like that. Okay, and so when it comes to the president's lawsuits, they're going to look at every possible way to throw shade on what he's doing and to throw doubt on the situation. And so you'll hear news about little things that are happening. For example, that a lawsuit was thrown out, that they withdrew a lawsuit, that this happened versus this, that Trump sent in the B team to argue this really important case, things like that. And this is where, when information like this comes out, I want to warn you once again, as you're on social media, if you happen to pass by CNN playing in an airport and you see information like this come up in front of your face, I want you to use discernment, and I want you to understand that there's always misdirection. There's going to be misdirection constantly. And so one of the strategies is to discredit, is going to they're going to try to discredit uh, what's happening with the legal team and with the legal proceedings. They want to make you believe that our legal team is incompetent, that they're scared, that they're sending in the B team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just keep that in mind. And as always, remember that you need to pay attention to the signal and tune out the noise. You need to hone in on what's important. Don't major on the minors. So just keep that in mind, because they want you to get discouraged. They want you to get shocked. They want you to go to bed with a sense of unease and worry about what is happening in the process. And I don't know if you notice that a lot of this news drops at night. Do you think that might be because they know that people are on the internet? That people, the kids are in bed, people are scrolling through Facebook, they're scrolling through Twitter, they finally got the dishes washed or whatever. And that is when some of this news starts to drop. It's very interesting, isn't it? And so just keep that in mind. And also remember that there are so-called conservative reporters who are out there just trying to get clickbait, and they'll use little headlines, and they'll start every story with, breaking or source or things like that. And so I want you to understand this, because you have to learn how to discern what's really important, what really matters in this process. Okay. And you're going to see more and more of that kind of stuff. So the the lawsuit that was filed this morning in Pennsylvania by Rudy Giuliani was interesting, because they're using the tactics that, or the arguments that they're making, have a lot to do with equal access. And I think that's interesting, because I think it's a smart thing to do, because they're using the arguments that the Democrats use when they talk about voter ID and voter access and things like that, voter suppression. And so Rudy Giuliani is talking about that in his lawsuit, and Lynn Wood is talking about that in his lawsuit. And so that is interesting, because it has to do, it's equal protection. So equal protection under the law means that the poll workers and the observers in a Republican area should have exactly the same rights and access to ballots that those in a Democrat area do. And that is something that our witnesses and whistleblowers and complainants have said many, many times. They've given many instances that that wasn't the case. And so, for example, the the argument, they're saying that in heavily Democrat areas, people were going out like 3 days beforehand, and giving people an opportunity to cure their ballot, to fix mistakes. And that wasn't done in the Republican areas. So that's one aspect. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all of the ins and outs of these cases. I just think that's interesting that we're arguing those points, which I think is important to understand, because the law is the law, and when it comes to applying the law, it has to be done equally and fairly. And so, I like the fact that they're turning those talking points back on the Democrats. So there are lawsuits popping up everywhere. One of the things that the president has said is that a lot of these lawsuits are not even being filed by the campaign. And I just learned today, for example, that Lynn Wood is filing a lawsuit in Georgia, and it's not for the campaign. I thought that he was one of the legal team for the campaign. He said that he's not today. And so I want to correct the record on that, because I told you that he was. But it's very interesting, because he said he was on the radio yesterday, and it was on the John Fredericks network. And he said, my lawsuit is a lawsuit that any citizen could file. And he was actually encouraging people to do that, because as a citizen of any state, you are cheated out of equal access if they're doing certain things that benefit another voter or another party that you don't get the benefit of. That's the gist of it. And he said that you could actually, hey Marianne, he said that you could actually literally just take his name out of the lawsuit and file it with your name on it. And I'm looking into how I can do that in Virginia, because I know that I know that we were cheated here, and I know that Virginia went for Trump, and so feel like my vote I feel like my vote didn't count at all. And yeah, so it's a violation of my constitutional rights. And so I'm encouraging everybody who can to go and look up the lawsuit that he's filing, and file your own version of that in your state if you feel like you have been cheated out of your vote, in a state, in a swing state, in a place that it's pretty obvious that there's fraud. From what we're hearing, from Sidney Powell, it's more states than not where people got cheated. So just FYI, uh, it's very likely. Yeah. So Donna, you should actually get his lawsuit, and he's in Georgia. Get in touch with him. I also think that people should file class action suits. And one of the things that he said on that radio show was he said, he's hoping that it's the judge hears the case on an expedited basis. And so that's one thing that you would ask for, is an expedited hearing. And so, based on what I'm seeing, it really does feel like the fraud. It feels like Trump, in my opinion. I really feel like he won by, I think he got at least 400 electoral votes. Um, so did he already post the lawsuit? Somebody's saying that he did. Can you tag it? Can you tag me in a tweet so I can see the lawsuit? I was on his timeline today, but I didn't see it. Um, yeah, so Virginia is just a mess. Now, I want to switch to something else that I was looking at on Sidney Powell's timeline, because she actually tweeted last night, at about 7:24 p.m. Said she said Biden is not president elect, and the fraud we're uncovering is astounding. The Senate Judiciary Committee needs to eat meat as lunch tomorrow. Action should be taken immediately in the interest of national security to allow free speech on this election issue. Now, one of the things that came up in that conversation is that she posted some screenshots of the testimony that she had of the person who was um, the person who testified about how the election was cheated and stolen for Maduro in Venezuela. And that person said that one of the things they did was that they took the internet down. They took the internet down for a period of time. And so, the average citizen couldn't keep track of what was going on. But in the meantime, they were switching the votes. And so I wanted to ask you, can anybody confirm or get information to, if it was internet down, was the internet down uh, in in any of these states where they were switching things and moving votes around and swapping votes? Do you guys know? It would be interesting to see that. I know there are people who track internet outages, but if that's the case, if these internet companies like Comcast, who happens to hate Trump, if they were taking part in this, then they would actually come under that. They would actually come under that executive order as foreign actors, foreign agents who were aiding and abetting in this election fraud. Isn't that interesting? I just thought about that. So, so if you Um, if you know of anything like that, okay, Chicky New just put up a link to a Parler post. OAN just reported data seized in server shows the president won by a landslide. Trump 410, Biden 128. Okay, yeah, I had seen that map. I hadn't seen the report, so thank you for posting that. I'll go look at it later. So, um, okay, so thank you for posting that information, everybody. I appreciate it. Okay. Um, YouTube. So I'm talking about on election night. So between about 11 o'clock Eastern and 4 or 5 a.m. Eastern, because that's when they did the big switch. That's when they found all of those ballots, and when the numbers really started to switch, because they told the Republicans in these areas to go home. It was coordinated. And then overnight is when suddenly, oh gosh, we found all of these ballots, and oh gee willikers, they're all for Biden. Imagine, that's just so weird. How did that happen? Oh my gosh, it's because they respected the virus. That's right. Yeah. And then 2 days later they're out partying because they think Biden won. So I guess they no longer respect the virus, except now they do, because they're locking everybody down again. Right? All right. Crazy. Now, I was thinking about the virus, and I was thinking about the whole situation with the virus, and how, um, all of a sudden it's back. Um, okay, somebody said, I received an emergency message here in Houston that COVID is spreading rapidly. Stay home, stay home, stay home. Don't spend holidays with your family. Don't do it. You're all gonna die. I mean, the panic porn is beyond imagination. And I think this is interesting because one thing that I've realized in the process of watching the media and the government manipulate and gaslight people over the virus, it's very interesting, is that the the virus manipulation, the gaslighting, depends on science. And so they've told people, they've told people all um, they told people all along that, trust the science, trust the science, trust the science, right? The thing is, there's no settled science on the things that they're telling people to trust, but they've deified science to the point that it's the god. And if you think about the whole agenda, the socialist agenda, it really depends on an atheistic stance. And so the state becomes God, and the science becomes God. And so if you notice that, they really have elevated the science to a godlike stature, and it's because they can manipulate it. They can they can they can really they can really manipulate you with science. And if you just look back at Dr. Death and the things that he was saying back in February and March about the face coverings, right? There's really no need for anybody to wear that, because it's just during a pandemic. I mean, it's not gonna it's not gonna you know it's not gonna help, right? And then he comes out later. Now he's saying that you have to wear it even with a vaccine. He was the one that said the vaccine would change everything, that it would be, the savior of the world. Okay. And so, do you see what I'm saying? And so that people have really been manipulated by the science. And one of the things that I've noticed with this election fraud is that the truth the truth is coming out, and it's coming out based on math. And I think this is interesting because math isn't political, and math isn't subjective, right? And so we're not seeing it's interesting, they're using the media to manipulate people and to tell them that Biden is the president elect. but they're not actually arguing on the merits. Nobody on the Biden side is coming out with their own data and saying, this is impossible. We have the math, we have the numbers. Did you notice that? Did you notice? They're not doing it because the you can't dispute it. It's not, math is not an opinion. I mean, unless you're doing Common Core. But this is, I think this is significant because they've won the argument. They think they've won the argument on COVID because they can keep manipulating you with science, and they can shame you with science. But the thing is, uh, you can't um, you can't do that with math. It's infuriating. But if you look at, just watch, if you can stomach watching the fake news, and you look at the people who are coming on, if you're looking at the people who are coming on these shows, nobody is talking about the data. Has anyone noticed that? They're not. They can't manipulate you. They can't bring actual graphs and data sets from the election to prove that Joe Biden legitimately won, because they're not there, and because all of our people have researched the data sets, and they've researched the statistics and the anomalies, and they've pointed it out, like Dr. Shiva. So I just wanted to point that out. I think it's a little thing, but it's kind of interesting that they're pushing the propaganda, but they can't win this. They can't win this fight on actual anything factual, and so they're not even trying. In fact, in fact, they're taking the complete opposite stance, and they're just burying their heads in the sand and saying there's no such thing as election fraud, even though their own publications have written about it in the past and have reported and have reported stories on this. So it's kind of interesting, just something that I've observed. Okay, uh, so that's just something that I've pointed out. Okay, yeah, the science is an easy way to manipulate people, and it's extremely political. That's something that we're learning. You look at Dr. Death, and you see that he has been in charge of coming up with the AIDS vaccine since like the 80s. So how much money has he taken? How many grants has he gotten? How many accolades has he gotten as being like the AIDS czar? Is there a vaccine for AIDS? Can anybody tell me? Is he successful in any other line of work, in any other in the private sector? Would he still have a job? I mean, I don't I don't think so. Would he? Him and Scarf Lady? Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, no, he wouldn't. I mean, it's like the weather forecasters. I mean, they're he's basically like a weather forecaster who has a high paying government job. Um, that's it. I mean, he's been in this job forever. And yeah, I mean, now he's making magazine appearances. His face was on the cover of a magazine today when I was in Whole Foods, and I just turned it backwards so nobody had to look at his face. I do that sometimes. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know there's medication for AIDS. I get that, but I'm saying his whole claim to fame is that he's the person who was coming up with the AIDS vaccine. That's who he's known as, right? Um, and here we are, all these years and dollars later. Okay. So now let me talk a little bit about the whole face covering situation. Uh, People have said in the chat that they've been going out to the store with no mask, and I want to applaud you. Give yourself a big pat on the back, because I've been challenging my listeners to go out in public and not have the stupid mask on, and just walk in like you own the place, and just take charge, because it's your life, it's your freedom. You are a sovereign citizen, you're not a subject. And so it's so important that people start to take this fight seriously, because if you're not willing to do it with something as simple as a piece of cloth, where will you stand when it comes to a vaccine or any other thing that they tell you to do? Where will you stand when they tell you that you have to give up your guns in order to have a job, for example? So think about that. And I wanted to give you an encouraging little tidbit, and that is this: when I was in Whole Foods today, I saw somebody that I know, and he had his mask under his nose. He works there, and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Great." And he said, "We have a name. We have a name for people like you," because I didn't have the mask on. I'm the only one in there. And so he said, "We have a name for people like you." And I said, "What do you mean, anti-maskers?" He said, "No, free breathers." And I was so encouraged, because he works in Whole Foods, and he said, "We have a name for people like you. We call you free breathers." And so I wanted to tell you that there are people working in on the front lines in these stores who are for you. They are with you. They are behind you, and they are calling you a free breather. They get it. And so just be encouraged by that. Be encouraged. Yeah, it is very encouraging, isn't it? Yeah, free breathers. You're just so be a free breather. Just say, "Hey, I'm a free breather." And so, I want to encourage every one of you every single day. Take it, you may be scared, you may be nervous, you may not like people looking at you. You got to get over that. Take charge of your own freedom. Take your freedom back. Take your freedom back. Walk into a store without a mask on. All right. If that's too hard, walk in with the mask on and then take it off. Don't pull it down, take it off. You got to do this. You have to. And the people in the stores, they recognize it. I mean, these people are under tyranny. And I do think somebody in the YouTube chat said that workers need to bring class action suits against the employers. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Uh, and I feel like with a smaller employer, I feel like that if you have a good relationship with your employer, I would actually encourage your employer to sue your state over what is going on, and to form a collective with the employers and the employees, because it's affecting all of them. It's affecting you. It's affecting your employer, and the employers are being bullied under threat of sanctions and fines, and having their licenses pulled. And that's a big deal. And so, if you have somebody like that, if you work for somebody that you feel would be open to that, it might be worth pursuing. So I'm just something to think about. Okay. uh yeah. And so, the other thing I want to encourage you is, not to be unkind or ugly to the people that are working in the stores, that are in management or whatever, because they're under tremendous pressure. They are under pressure of being shut down. I told you in Virginia, yeah, it's government tyranny. In Virginia, one infraction is a fine of $13,000. You notice it's the number 13, because it's demonic. What they're doing, they always choose numbers like that. Yeah. So hold on a second. Yeah, I want to file a suit. I want to file a suit against my state for the election. I want to start with that. But I just want to encourage you to really think about taking action, because they're not going, your governors, your Democrat governors, unless they end up in jail because of this election, they're not going to they're not going to reverse course. They're just not going to do it. Um, yeah, and somebody said my college today said they're going to mandate us to get the COVID vaccine. How is this legal? It's not legal. Um, Now, one thing that I know people do on the vaccine front is that they claim a religious exemption, and so I would start looking into that right away. Um, I don't need to take a vaccine. Why would I take a vaccine that is 90% effective for something that has a 99.9% recovery rate? It's not logical. Why would I do that? Why would I inject a virus into my body? That I why? Why would I do that? Okay. Um, all right, now there's one other topic. I want to switch topics here for just a minute, and I want to talk to you about the president and one of his promises that he's kept, and that is with about troop withdrawal. So one of the things that you have seen by the left and the deep state is that they're trying to undermine him and criticize him, and even accuse him of being unfair and of speaking badly about our troops. And that's one of the that's just a complete and total lie. And he ran on one of his promises was getting us out of these foreign wars. We've been at war for close to 20 years. This would be the 20th year. This would be the 20th year that our troops would be overseas for Christmas. Okay, and the president has said that he would get our troops out of the Middle East. And the former defense secretary Esper, who was just let go, terminated, was dragging his feet on that. And the talking heads who think that they know more than the president and his generals are saying that that uh, if we pull out of the Middle East too soon, that that ISIS, is going to take over, that there's going to be unrest, that the Iranians are going to try to test our resolve, that there's going to be all kinds of violence. And this is the same argument, by the way, that they used to keep ISIS in power. It's the same kind of argument uh, that that they use to get you not to stand up and take a stand against a bully or an unruly child. So, if you discipline him, he's going to cry. If you discipline him, he's going to have a tantrum. It's like a threat. And so when you hear things like that, just like with the election, people will tell you that if the president pushes this and he pushes the win and he refuses to back down, it's actually going to backfire because there will be violence in the country. And that's a really weak and lame argument because it's a they're going to be violent either way. I mean, we saw that on Saturday in Washington. They were going after Trump supporters. And so you can't use that argument to justify letting them steal an election. It's appeasement. That's all it is. It's the doctrine of appeasement, and that's what happened in World War II. Neville Chamberlain used that argument against Hitler, and he said, if we just give them what they want, then they'll back off. We don't want to instigate any problems. And so look how that turned out. Hitler just marched right into Czechoslovakia. So we know that it doesn't work. And so I wanted to read you something that was sent today by Concerned Vets on Twitter. They sent it to the president because the president is withdrawing troops from the Middle East. And this is what the Concerned Vets say. I think this is really good. It says, "Dear Donald, dear President Trump." Hold on a second. The trolls are coming back. Dear President Trump, throughout your presidency, you've rightly called for the United States to withdraw from open ended conflicts around the world that no longer serve vital American interests. Concerned Veterans for America commends your effort to end our endless wars so our country can focus on more pressing domestic and foreign priorities. We urge you to fully withdraw American troops from Afghanistan by the end of January 2021. This will finish the process you started uh, to remove our troops from that country's long running conflict and secure our legacy as the commander in chief who ended America's longest war. This will be the 20th holiday season U.S. forces have spent in Afghanistan away from their families. Through their valiant efforts, our troops long ago achieved America's principal objectives in the country by decimating Al Qaeda and severely punishing the Taliban. You remember that? Nobody talks about that anymore. Um, Unfortunately, previous administrations mired our troops in misguided nation building efforts. This approach has proven costly and ineffective, leaving America no safer while aiding our rivals by keeping us bogged down in Central Asia. As president, your support of Ambassador Khalilzad's peace efforts and withdrawal of thousands of troops from Afghanistan were important steps towards ending American involvement in the conflict. By securing a full withdrawal from Afghanistan, you will stand with the three-quarters of the American people, including veterans and military families who support bringing our troops home from a conflict that should have concluded long ago. Thank you for your dedication to pursuing a foreign policy that puts American interests first. We look forward to continuing your support in our efforts to end our nation's endless wars. Sincerely, Nate J. Anderson, Concerned Vets for America Executive Director. So this is important. This is really good because they are supporting the president. And remember, the left told you that the president hates our troops, that he hates our veterans, and this is a letter of condemnation. And so I really wanted to let you hear that. It's important that your friends who have bought into the lie that this president is against our military, that they really understand that the military has his back and that they love him. I have a friend who told me that um, a friend of hers, their daughter was a staunch liberal and she was in the military and she went overseas. She was stationed overseas, and when she went and she was stationed overseas, she actually had she actually got massively red pilled, and she loves Trump. I mean, she turned into a staunch conservative, and she said that the troops absolutely love him, and that they that they back him 100%. And it's interesting, that's what it took for her to see who he is because of how he supports the troops. She saw it firsthand when she was there stationed overseas. And so that's important for people to get. They really need to understand that this president is 100% behind the troops. So just keep that in mind, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's just not true. Not true. Uh, let's see. I'm looking for Laura Logan did a story on socialism last week. Okay. So, okay. I want to find that link that somebody put up. Okay, I have a question about YouTube. I have a question. When I'm live on YouTube, by the way, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Those of you who are on YouTube, when I'm live, do you know how I can go back and see all the comments when it's no longer live? Is there a YouTuber who can help me figure that out? Because I don't get it. And I don't see the link that somebody put up about, I was asking about the electoral map. Somebody shared a link from One American News on YouTube. Okay, whoever that was, I don't see the link. I don't see it. Okay. If you shared that link, please send it to me, info@marygracemedia.com. I would like to see that. Okay. The other thing is, I want to make sure that you know how you can that you know how you can support the show. You can go to marygracemedia.com and click on support. I am in the process of getting my studio together, so so that is exciting, and I have a better plan now. I talked to some people about that recently, and I've got some better ideas. So click on live chat, then it will show. Okay, YouTube. So you're saying that I can click on live chat? No, I mean like after I'm done, when I go back and watch my replay. I'm looking at the chat right now. I want to know when my video is up on my YouTube channel and I go back, can I see that live chat when it's no longer live? That's my question. Who knows the answer to that? Okay. All right. So go to my website, marygracemedia.com, and click on support. You can do a monthly pledge, or you can you can do one-time support. You can also support me by ordering superfoods. What are superfoods? Some of you know, some of you don't. I have a superfoods brand, organic, green, non-GMO, US based company, and you can get a voucher from me to save $50 to $100 off of superfoods. Who uses superfoods? Anybody that wants good nutrition, whether you're an athlete and you want to just keep a good source of nutrition available to you all the time. If you're working and you don't want to go to the vending machine when you get hungry and you want really good, solid nutrition, this is going to work for you. There's no blenders required. It's super easy. I love it. I have people that are using it to lose weight. I have people who have autoimmune conditions who love these superfoods because it supports your body so well. It's anti-inflammatory, and it's also good for prepping. So if you are looking at putting some food away and having something that's really shelf stable, then contact me, info@marygracemedia.com, because I'm going to give you a voucher for $50 to $100 off of your first month's order of superfoods. It's a great deal. And you're getting a couple of meal replacements a day with that voucher. So Delia just said she's lost 46 pounds in 3.5 months. So it's a very safe way to lose weight without being hungry and without depriving yourself of nutrition. You're getting really powerful nutrition with the superfoods. That's the thing that I love about it. The email is info@marygracemedia.com, info@marygracemedia.com, and I will send you I'll send you the link. There's a little video you can watch that explains it. I'm on the video, and you can get that. So don't waste time, because shipping times are going to get a little bit uh, frustrating, right? Because of all the online shoppers. Um, yeah, it is good for critters. I gave Barley the 50 to $100 off. No, 50 from 50 up to 100. That's a good question, Robert. From $50 to $100 off. Yeah, good question. That's my English, slurring my words together. info@marygracemedia.com. That's where you can get the voucher. I think that I'm having a special live event this Thursday for superfoods. And so keep your calendar open. I don't have all the details yet. Somebody just asked a question. Got a call to support the super PAC so Trump can get more airtime. Anybody getting these calls? I don't know about that. Okay. You had a question about the product itself. Patmos, can you email me info@marygracemedia.com? Okay. The That would be a good question to ask. Okay, Dawn. That was Dawn. All right, so I think this is it. Make sure you're following me on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitter, and on Clout Hub. Make sure you're following me, and make sure that somebody says, I keep emailing you, but I don't get a response. Um, it may be going into my junk mail. I'll try to check that. info@marygracemedia.com. If you are on Twitter, try tagging me in a tweet so that we can coordinate. The way to do that is to type my Twitter name at Mary Grace Media and then type the message. Okay, at Mary Grace Media. It has to be all together. All right. Some of you I've tried to respond to, but I get an error message. So if you send me an email, make sure that your information is correct. Okay. Yeah. So info@marygracemedia.com. I love the superfoods. There are, part of it is shakes, and that's what I do. I have, I have these shakes. It's so easy. It just makes my life so easy. Yes, I did that, not on Twitter. Um, Boosh Bar. Is that Dan? BBT. BBT, are you on Facebook? Can you message me on Facebook? We'll figure it out. Yeah, something must be off. Maybe they're flagging your address or something. So just, yeah, go to Facebook. You can send me a message through my Facebook page. It's Mary Grace Media on Facebook. You can do that. Okay. Because I do want to get in touch with you. Yeah. Um, you don't have Facebook? Well, how are we? And you're not on Twitter? Are you on Parlor? Are you on Cloud Hub? Are you, do you feel like putting your email address in the chat? Oh, there you go. I'm going to. Okay. I think this is the time for me to sign off. I will be back on Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, right here at Mary Grace Media. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and I will see you back here on Thursday. Thank you for being here, everybody.